Oh
Hi,
my God.
Jana. Can you hear me, Jana? Oh, she left. All right, we'll just, we're early. We'll give people some time. So join in. If you want to turn your camera on or off, whatever feels comfortable for you is totally fine. All right, there she is. Hello, hello.
Hi. Okay, now I can hear.
Now you can hear. Good, good. Well, welcome. How are you? It's nice to meet you in person.
Yeah, good. How are you?
Good, good, good. Okay, I'm admitting all these note takers. Let's see. Oh my gosh, there's too many note takers. I can't do it. It's funny. There we go. Admit all. That's easy enough. Okay. I'm gonna figure out how to like spotlight you, Jana. All right. Lots of people coming in. So a lot of note takers, a few humans here, but it's all good. Jana, where do you live?
So I'm based in Munich. So we have already 8 p.m. by us.
Oh my goodness. Well, thanks for joining. I love that. I went to your website and noticed that there was some stuff not in English, so I was thinking you might be in Munich.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Well, welcome everybody. This is my first time hosting an event for this group, and I love this group. It's so fun to see how fast it's been growing and just I love waking up every morning and like reading all the comments and getting to know people from here. And there's actually a lot of people in this group that I follow on TikTok, so I feel like I know you all in a weird way. So cool. There's still people rolling in here. And then we'll get started in just a few minutes. So, because this is the first one, I originally was thinking that we would kind of split up the hour and do like two interviews per session. So, we did have two interviews lined up, but then the second person couldn't make it after all. But then, after reading more about you, Jana, and stuff, I was like, we'll probably take the whole hour anyway. And then I would love this to be kind of a community conversation as well. So if you're, on Zoom, feel free to chime in at any point. But yeah, I'm excited to have this conversation because money and income, it's such a personal topic. When you talk about finances, I just want everyone in the room to know that I know it can be a really sensitive topic. Um, while I want to go around and celebrate how much we're doing with AI and how much money we can all make, it's it's a sensitive topic and we all have different relationships with money and different feelings about money. And so I just want to be sensitive to that and make sure that if you want to share your story, this is a safe place to do so. So, wish there's still people coming in. This is awesome. So yeah, I'll share just a little bit about me so that we can kind of get going. But my name is Robyn Anderson. That's my real name. My nickname has been Jam for the past 15 years. Like literally everyone calls me that. The little kids in my life. My mom even calls me Jam now. She was resistant at first, but she likes it. And it actually came from my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time. He was just really in awe with how I could hear any song and remember every single lyric. He's like, "Are you listening or just jamming out in your head all the time?" So that's kind of how it started. And then got real big into the karaoke scene, but that's, story for another time.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, that's where my nickname comes from. And just, background on income and business and all of that. I started my first sales job in 2007, and I was a commission-only sales rep selling six-figure websites. So that was a fun place to start. And I literally had to figure it out to live. Like I had to learn how to sell this specific product to feed myself. Like I didn't have family or friends to ask money from, and I was in a spot where like it was 2007, 2008, the economy was in a weird place. And I just was like, I'm not going to be poor and I'm not going to struggle. And I'm going to do everything I can to make a lot of money. And that was literally my mindset. Um, I was lucky enough, there was a woman there who was a little older than me, and she became an incredible mentor. And she taught me how to sell. And I had a fire up under my ass, and I just got out there and ended up being pretty successful with that. I was 23, 24, and calling up businesses. I had no business calling, putting proposals in front of people's face and just continually following up again and again. So that's how I started, and then ended up building a web development company with my gym stalker. Um, we all had those, right? Just the guy at the gym that would follow me around, and eventually got to talking with him, and he was a super smart guy, and he was like, "Why don't we build our own business together? You do the sales and marketing, I'll do everything else. I'll build and scale." And I ended up partnering with a company called Magento, and we became one of their first e-commerce partners. And about a month later, they got bought by eBay. And so it was literally just like riding on their coattails, and we blew up. We did 2 million our first year. We had 20 employees. Did that for about 4 years, like worked nonstop, slept at the office sometimes. Like it was definitely a crash course into running a business. Unfortunately, it ended with sexual assault and tax fraud on the gym stalker's part. So that went down in flames when I was like 29. That ended. And honestly, it was an incredible time. I learned so much just from running a business in general to choosing your partner, and then all the services we offered from web development to design to SEO to marketing. So it was just really like my, I didn't go get my master's, but I did that. Um, and that really set me up. I ended up taking a little bit of time away, got married, had babies, all that fun stuff. And then I've been working inside agencies. And in 2022, I started my company, Jam AI. It was the end of 2022. And I, just like probably many of you, was on the list to try ChatGPT, and literally fell in love with AI and just saw the writing on the wall that like everything I ever did will be done better and faster with AI. And so I saw that I could either jump in and learn literally everything or get run over and kind of get passed by. So I started Jam AI. We do consulting, training. We have a really awesome community as well. And yeah, that's what I've been doing the past 3 years. And now I found this group about a month ago, and I'm just so intrigued by all of you. I put out that type form about a month ago, and or no, 3 weeks ago. And I've had like 22 of you fill it out. And I'm reading through all the stories, and I'm like, holy shit, these women are amazing. Like this group of people, you guys are all doing some incredible things. And I'm just so happy to be here to learn from all of you. So, today we are going to be talking to Jana, and I thought we could kind of run this as kind of like fireside chat style, Jana, if that's okay with you. But she has an incredible story. Her company looks amazing. I have a lot of questions for you. But I would love to hear just a little bit about you and how you are using AI in your business, how it helped you start your business. So first off, just tell us who you are and why you started your company. I feel that like that's a good place to start.
All right, yeah. So I'm very excited to be the first one. I'm very honored. I think it's a great start, especially to talk about finance starting in the new year, since
Hmm.
we keep having basically we start tracking our weight, calories, and so on, all the goals for 26, and why not talk about financial goals as well? So how did I come into this? I'm actually a banker. So since 16 years, I'm in the banking field in finance, and yeah, I was there for many years. I went to digitalization and then last 4 years in AI, and we're actually in the top companies in Germany, like from Deutsche Bank to BNP to UniCredit and so on. And last one is now at BMW. And why or how did I founded that company? It is actually a funny story. So I wanted to be like a freelancer entrepreneur all my life, kind of. I just
Hmm.
didn't know what. I was like, I want to become independent. I was like, just with what? What can I do what no one else can do? And I wasn't sure about what can I do. And when the whole AI part came, and I completely kind of deep dived into this topic and got more to know about it and was a lot of self-learning. So I never entered any kind of workshops or paid schools or whatever because I was like, everything is outside for free. You just have to grab it, right? If you're really
Hmm.
interested, I mean. So I was doing this, and the more and more I got into it, I'd be like, okay, well, how about AI workshop, right? So enable more women into AI, and I was like, okay, there are so many, or maybe I'm in the bubble of people doing it. And so I was in the car and listening to a podcast, and one lady, she is from the UK. She was a previous investment banker, and she was talking about how to become financially independent. And while I was listening to it, and I was on my way to my real estate. I was like, oh my God, just that makes no sense what she talks in here, right? I was like, you have never been broke. How come you are the one who are like went to a fancy university, went to a fancy investment banking, did there 2 years, you sucked, you left the company, and now you're pretending to know something about money, right? I mean, you deal with money from companies that have millions of money. If they lose 2, 3, 4, 5%, it doesn't matter for them, right? If I lose money, it matters. It hurts. It's my own earned money. And I was listening and I came home, it's like, oh my God, I got the idea. And I told this to my husband, he was like, okay, if you want to. So that's how I started with AlphaMint, basically. So I was like, okay, if so many people. And then I started to dig into this topic and I saw there are so many people talking about financial literacy, financial education. Suddenly I got spammed, and I'm sure my iPhone always listens to me and maybe it listens to my thoughts as well. Was like, okay, here invest in trading and do this course. And I was like, none of you have been in that field. How come you can talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Why do I talk about it was because I was in the banking field for many years and I was broke. So I was mid 20, and that's my story. And I had over 100K debt. And that's how it started. So I had my first baby, my daughter, and I was 26, and the letters came in, and I had to claim insolvency, basically. So I had to go with the stroller to some people that help you basically how to get out of your debt, right? And for me, the worst part of, or the hardest part was, I think, my ego, because
Hmm.
admitting that I had a financial problem as a banker, as someone who's supposed to know it, someone who's telling people what to do about about their finance, right? How to save, how to invest, and so on. How come I was broke? And it started all with, this thing like this buzzword, invest in yourself. And it's nice. Where is he? Invest in this course, invest in yourself, invest in this. And I was like, I invested in myself. I started in university. I paid for it. It was my debt. And then it came to you're a fancy banker. You have a status. You want to show off and so on. You want to live a nice life. Then comes the wedding, a bigger house, a bigger flat, and so on, right? So it
Yep.
all I got just deeper into it and I had to find a way out. And I was like, okay, wait, the system that I have learned and taught people about it while I was working was the only beneficiary in there is the bank itself. So I got my commission, the bank gets the money, the people are saving nicely. All we want is actually that they save. If they pay a mortgage, why do I want a down payment as a bank? Because I don't have so much risk on you. I don't do it for you. I just claim it that, hey, the more down payment you go, the better it is for later. You don't have much debt, your payments are low. No, no, no. I just don't have so much risk on financing you. And figuring out that this system didn't work for me, I have to find out a system that works only for me. And that's how I did it. And within 7 years, I not only came out of debt, I completely invented a system. So I am a multi-million real estates in Germany, in Munich, especially. Why I mentioned in Munich, one two-bedroom flat cost already 1 million.
Mm.
And I never had any down payment. Everything is fully financed, everything is fully rented out. And why did I get the credits, even though I had to call insolvency, is because I knew the system. So I was well prepared. I knew exactly what kind of real estate do I want. There was never a bad timing to invest. So there was Corona. I bought two flats. And the first wave of Corona, it was like, you don't know what's going to happen. And I'll be like, oh, I'm buying now. Now's the time. I recently just bought another house. It was again 1 million, and the bank just gave it to me. I'm like, okay, nice. I just prepared, right? Where's the area? It's like in the middle of nowhere. And I just sold it nicely. As you said, like you have to know how to sell it. So I sold
Yeah.
myself as an expert. And I showed them what is the leverage effect, right? How do I use now the right debt for me, whether it's in my portfolio or in real estate? And with AI, that was the trick actually to leverage and to fast it up. So now I have agents that do that for me. Now I have agents do all the research. Whatever I did manually in 2020 or in 2018, even with my first real estate, now I have in real estate. Now I have agents doing this, checking my portfolio, checking my real estate, checking my due diligence, and so on. And this is where I like wanted to start. And I said, okay, not about only financial literacy, but how can I use AI exactly as this unfair advantage in here, right?
Mhm.
And that's how I started actually last year. We were on holiday on the way to Croatia and having our road trip. And I was just on my iPad, just starting to do like all my researches on it, launched like my company, founded it. And all while my kids were playing in the pool. And yeah, it was crazy. It was a crazy month.
Tak,
Yeah.
dzisiaj.
I love that. I have a question that's popped up too. Um, Number one, you said there was a moment when you heard like you need to invest in yourself. Tell us about, I have an AI question next, but tell us about that like mind shift and what happened when you were like, okay, I'm going to do this. How did you get there?
So like as I said, invest in yourself became more a buzzword in the last years, right? To sell
Hmm.
things and to make you feel like whatever you're doing it the right way. So when I
Yeah.
started to figure it out, okay, how do I invest in myself and why would I do that? I was thinking, what skills do I have and what strengths do I have, right? To be productive and how I
Hmm.
can use all these three things to monetize that.
I love
And that
that.
was the point. So that was like, and when I can figure out this one, that was my return on investment. That was my ROI that I can figure out. Now that is the moment I invest. That's the part where it's like, okay, now I dig in because whatever, if I want to buy now a laptop, what is my return in there? Right? So I bought this, I did all my videos, I did my content and so on, because at the end of the day, I got more customers doing it. So that's the thing. Whatever you do, whatever you course you do, or whatever you want to invest, what is your return on investment? And like I said, like what is your strengths? What are your skills you could use afterwards with that to make money?
Yeah. Okay. And then I love that. And while you're manifesting and building, tell me a little bit about the platforms, the AI platforms and tools that you were using to not only like help you ideate, but actually build this brand.
Mhm. So I started in general like with ChatGPT. It's like my go-to tool. And but I also figured out, okay, I came to a limit there. So then I started, okay, researching, what else can I use now? So I started then Perplexity to understand, okay, what are the finance situation in here? What is my where is my ICP, my ideal customer actually, right? So
Mhm.
I always assume people don't know how to save.
Yep.
till I had my first calls figuring out people knew exactly how to save. They just didn't know how to invest, right? So it was a lot of this mindset, how to grow up, what I do, and so on. And so then I started basically with, yeah, Perplexity. I went then to Claude to build up my
Hmm.
whole business knowledge base over there, right? And figuring out like doing different type of projects in there. And for my ICP, for my go-to market, and so on. So this is like where I started to do all of this. Then, as you know, like I used Canva, I used Gamma for content creation. I checked out also like what are the perfect prompts I could use, what are the prompts I don't need, and in between that time, even like from August till like December, the technology again was so fast. So I used Lovable already in January. Again, now my website, I think I built my website with a company here in with I don't know if they're based in Germany or UK. It's Podia. So you have their blogs, so you can build up your website. And I redid it, I think, 1,000 times. And then I said, oh
Yeah.
shit, I just do it right now with Lovable because they went in December so good. I was like, okay, I can use this as a website now, you know?
Yeah. And you use Lovable for your website, right?
So yeah, at the moment
Yeah.
I'm super happy with that. I was
Yeah,
like,
it looks great. I've been checking it out. So, a question for you too. So, currently you started AlphaMint AI, that's Jana's AI training company. And then are you also still doing real estate? Because I find many of us, I'm not anymore, but many people in this group are double dipping. They're building something and working full time. So, what are you doing right now?
so currently I'm still working. So real estate is my side business. So I have a portfolio. I have real estate that I manage. This all on our private side. And then I work still as a full-time at BMW. So because I'm a global AI transformation rollout manager over there, completely for finance. So that's basically I also learn a lot from corporate world and use
Mm-hmm.
this network just to have it also as my exit strategy. And on the side, I'm building up AlphaMint, and even AlphaMint grew in the last 5 months. So from only courses to finance and how to use AI, went to how to use vibe coding for your kids, for parents, right? Because it's still a topic. A lot of parents don't know how to use AI for their kids, where my kids are growing up with that. I'm creating like exams and tests and everything for them, right? And or how to use basic AI at work. Because what I also found out was that even though I'm talking a lot about financially and AI enablement in my courses, right, was that a lot of people are not there yet. And especially
Krzysiu,
at the work purposes,
weźmiesz to, wlejesz do
I muted her. Go on.
uh, and especially in the corporate world, people don't know how to still use it. They're still back in 24, you know.
Yeah.
And I had over last year, so since March till December, over 30,000 people I coached in there in this workshop. So just
Okay.
for AI for every day, basically now, and how to use it at work.
So, what is bringing in the most revenue for you at this point?
So the first, I would say the first 4 months, it was more finance.
Hmm.
And the last, like since December, it was also the AI workshops, basically. So I
The
help
workshops.
companies how to not only enable their employees to understand how to use AI, but to find out also their pain points. So because 90%, 95, I even would say, of corporate employees still think AI is ChatGPT.
Yes, true. So, Jana, I also do that. And I think a few others in this group do too. I know there's a couple that I know by name. Um, and just to answer her question in the chat, her company's called Alpha Mint AI.
Yeah.
But okay, so we're in this new frontier, right? Because there's never really been AI training before. For me, I started doing keynotes also like a year and a half ago, and it became kind of this whole new terrain. I had no idea what to charge people. I was literally just like throwing out numbers to see if it was going to stick. And then one of the workshops, I thought I threw out a pretty high number, and she came back and she was like, "Oh, that's like half of what everyone else is charging." And I'm like, "Damn it. Like if I only knew." So, what are you doing to make sure that like you are charging a somewhat market rate for your services?
So I also did my research in here, like what are the biggest competitors I have within like the DACH area, so Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. And
Hmm.
then again, what are my international competitors are doing? And where's also my niche where I stand up. So as you say, like there are a lot of people who are doing the same thing. The problem is they always do it like from top to bottom, and I'm doing it the other way around. So I'm doing it like I'm not going with a clarity workshop into you, like find the use cases and then have a blueprint and so on, and then implementing it end to end. I start actually to getting the commitment from the employees at first. So at first, let them understand how to use AI, figuring out what are their pain points, and if those pain points are matching with the use cases the management has. And then to focus on what are the first one, two use cases you want to start as a blueprint, right?
Hmm.
I have talked to big companies like Siemens, Awesome, everyone over here, and they are still in the area of integrating chatbots or they're integrating AI tools where the usage is like below 10%. Because if you
Hmm.
don't have the commitment of the end user, how will it work, right? So if you talk, for example, to a car dealer, like we're an automotive company and I'm going to sell you a chatbot, whereas my car dealer's job is to talk. So I need then a chatbot simply with a voice, right? So because he can just talk with his phone on the chatbots that give me the latest reports and so on, it would make the usage much more efficient if you talk at first to the ones who are using it at the end of the day.
So, are you doing the training and then do you upsell it into a consulting gig
Yeah,
with that company? Is that what I'm hearing? Okay,
yeah. Because
cool.
that's the you understand the pain point of the employees,
Hmm.
and then you see, okay, what are the use cases you have that brings the biggest business value and solve the pain points too from those users. So you have then exactly those user, the human in the loop, the guardrails to test it also willingly, not becoming AI as a second unpaid job for him, right?
So, there's a couple questions in the chat that I think are on point. Number one, how do you find the time? Because, like, if you're doing all these different jobs, how do you find the time? And is your goal to simplify and focus on one of these, or will you always have multiple businesses?
So my personal one is like still I'm gonna keep my real estates and I keep buying whatever I can because I love it and I think it's so easy to do it honestly. Whenever I
Hmm.
see a good deal, I just jump in. As I said, mentioned BMW is my exit strategy, so I just learn really a lot. I think that's the biggest advantage I have. And I have also like I can have or basically you reach all these networks there, right? So my
Hmm.
first customers came from the BMW network because I just launched my finance course like for free for a lunch and learn session over there. And
Okay.
that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing. So I was trying it out on Meetup and so on all platforms, and I have no one signed in. And I just tried it on the networking events at BMW internally, and I had 400 women attending it just for lunch and learn. And that's I was like, okay, wait, I need the right network. Again, they're spreading the words as well, right? So I started to figure out, okay, with whom can I partner?
Hmm.
And where can I use, like, who has also the benefit, and I have a benefit as well. So I
Yeah.
figured out this one. And then again, for AI work, it's like my reputation is there. I'm coming from BMW. That is like right in my CV, in my resume on LinkedIn. That's a name you can post. That's a name you can also use as a brand. Because coming from huge corporate and going then to basically all SMEs and just reach out to them and say, hey, you need help. I tell you how to do it, not just, giving you a solution and integrate it, but actually make it usage as well.
Yeah. So you kind of answered the next question I was going to ask from the chat was how are you getting clients for this training? So it seems like it's a lot of like free lunch and learns or putting your services in front of somebody for free to kind of show them how important it is. And once you learn there's buy-in, then you can convert them to a client. Is that right?
Yeah. So I had a lot of one-on-one sessions. So I had a lot of free lunch and learn sessions out of that one-on-one sessions then that paid me.
Hmm.
And then again, the cohorts that started as well, right? At first with 3, then with 10, then with 20. So it just gets bigger. So I'm going to female festivals talking about like currently my niche is still the woman, even though I didn't want it. Because a lot of
Hmm.
men signed up as well. Um, but I think it's for them even more harder to talk about financial weakness or financial failures. Don't want to talk about that.
Yeah. That you mentioned there's some men in the room. This is an interesting question both for your finance, actually all real estate finance and AI training. Those are three things that literally everybody needs. Like it's hard to niche down and find your ICP in those three sections because it's literally everyone. I went through that with my AI training.
Yeah.
I was like, it's going to be real estate, it's going to be women only. And then I ended up with small business. But like, how did you decide who your ICP was and what sort of AI tools did you use to help you figure that out?
I think one of the best ones I had was perplexity, but then it was also reaching out to people and talk to them honestly. So that was like once I was like, okay, I wasn't sure if I want to talk only to women for finance, let's say. But then when I talked, and also, do you want to go for B2B or B2C, right? So for
Yeah.
finance, I was like, I started at first with B2B because I was like, oh, I'll go for B2B, corporate financial well-being. And I reached out to a lot of companies and they were like, hey, you know what? It's super interesting, but we have the fourth year of recession. I don't have any budget. I don't have, my people are burnt out. I said, they're burnt out because of financial reasons, right? She said, yeah, but look, I don't have money to make them have their financial situation better, right?
Mhm.
But then they were like, hey, but you know what? If you offer a course for me, I would join it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's nice. So that's like the one, okay, wait, maybe it's not B2B, it's B2C, right?
Yeah.
Then again, for AI workshop and having the blueprint consulting and so on, since this is anyways my day-to-day job at BMW as well, I was like, okay, how about I do this AI workshop where I talk the first half of the day only how to use AI privately and how to use my agents, how I use my portfolio to kind of like reset, hey, if you want to do that, join my AI finance course, right? And then go later on to the pain points in your company as well. So that's the way how then I had the loop inside to actually cover both of it. So it's not more work for me. It's the
hmm
same thing I always keep doing. And just the end of the day, the half, like the second part of the workshop will be then really customized for the company itself.
I love that. As you're talking through that, it reminded me of just when I started out, and everyone that I told I was starting my company was like, what's your business plan? Like, what do you have? What are you gonna do? And I think that's so cute and like so dumb because there's really no way to make a business plan in the AI training and AI development space because there's literally something new all the time. And it's real cute to look back and see like what I thought I would be making money from. So in like 2023, I was creating courses. I was like, I'm going to be the next Amy Porterfield or whatever for AI. And then you realize like courses are hard because they expire and AI is always here. So then I built the community. And then I was like, well, I want to make it affordable so people can join. And just fast forward, like thinking about income streams, right? Like when you're starting out, you just have to say yes and try everything. And I'm not sure if you
Mhm.
had this experience too, but like I said yes to keynotes, which was so terrifying to me. And I remember I got asked if I do it, and I was like, yeah, of course I do it. Never done one before. And like I couldn't sleep for a month because I was like, I have to be on stage in front of finance bros talking about AI. Like I don't, this is not my thing. In the workshops and you know, you just say yes and then you look at your revenue and like I highly suggest everyone does this. Sit down, coffee, piece of paper, and like write down what's actually bringing you revenue because I thought I was going to be this like big community and course person. Honestly, the only reason I have my community is because I'm passionate about it and I love it. It's actually not my biggest income stream at all. My biggest income stream is speaking and consulting. And so, like, I didn't know that that was going to be what I do. And I just think it's interesting that our income streams can kind of shape our business plan as we go along. So, does that resonate with you? And did you like what you're doing now when you were in your car on vacation writing your ideas for AlphaMint? Like, is what you wrote down then what you're actually doing now?
No. And we talk now about like the last 5 months almost, right? So it's like
Mhm.
it's crazy. It feels for me like an incredible last part half of the year, but it started already in January because I was like, I gotta do something.
Hmm.
Because at BMW, I mean, in any corporate world, you're just a number, right?
Yeah.
You're just a number. That's it. And I was like, okay, I have to figure out another way. And that's the thing. Like I used them. I used them at my stage, at my working hours, giving them the benefit. So I was at the BMW Mini convention and so on. And I was like, okay, what can I do? Okay, I'm good in speaking. All right. Okay, good. So the first time I was speaking there was of all international marketing people from BMW and Mini and Rolls-Royce. And I was like, okay, what I'm going to tell them about AI, right? I mean, and then figuring out, okay, we still have external agencies. I mean, like, why? I mean, we have internal AI systems. You can just make your slogans in there as well. I'm like, oh, we can? Yeah, you can. Okay, let me show it to you. And I was like, okay, the more and more I talk then about it, I was like, okay, it's the way how I talk and explain it in a normal way. So we have the EU Act taking part, being active from 26. So you have to ensure that all your employees are AI educated, whatever tools they use, right? But this is more or less like, like this fire coaching school we have, like what do you do when the house burns, right? So no one is really interested. It's just like you have to attend it, it's
Mhm.
online, you have to do it, and no one is really interested. Whereas where I come, it's like, hey, look what I built on vibe coding. And I was like, what did you do? And then I showed them Closella. I said, I just built it in 35 minutes. And I'm like, wait, what? And that's the thing, like I just say it in my way, what I do at home in the evening when I sit on my sofa, and it doesn't matter. So now I just shifted it from my training purposes on BMW network into getting paid for it into other companies. So it's the
Yeah.
same thing. Like I just learned what I figure out every tool new again. I don't know any of it's like you have 150,000 new AI tools every month launching worldwide. And all we know is what, maybe 10 maximum, right? I mean, honestly, how many do we know and actively use every day? And
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that change you can't have in AI, I would say, in a business plan, like follow that rule because it's just, and then as I said, now I have a loop into it, right? So now I'm not actively selling any more finance, but I'm in speaking sessions on female festivals and so on, getting them into my cohort, and from AI workshops, corporate, getting them into also my cohort.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Tell me, so you talk a lot about like systems on your website, and I want to know what is your system? You have so many things going on. Like, I don't want to know what you're training people because I feel like this group's we're ahead of that. Tell me, like, what are you using to stay organized and like productive from an AI standpoint? What's your favorite few tools?
It really depends on what do I need to do, right? So I'm a lot in on LinkedIn, so I tried out TikTok and Instagram, and I was like, okay, I love to make videos. It just took so much time for me, honestly. I still haven't found out a way how to make TikTok for me easier
Hmm.
or YouTube. And I was like, okay. But when I talk to someone, it's just way easier. So it's like more easier for me to record myself when I have a meeting with someone because I feel it's more authentic. That's more me. Versus when I have just a camera and start doing recording me. So that's why using like content creation, AI tools for LinkedIn, for TikTok or Instagram didn't work out for me, honestly. Whereas like for carousels, like building those slides up, I used Gemini and Gamma recently. So I have a really cool idea. I see a very good video or whatever. I start to use Gemini. It's like, hey, what from this video could I reuse for me as my personal brand, as a thought leader, and so on? And can I use it as a post? Can I reuse it as a carousel on LinkedIn, right? And then I use Gamma to just really
Oh,
quickly
Hey, mommy,
do
can
that
you
up.
put more money on my card?
muted her. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's the thing, like, what is your purpose, right? To use and yeah.
what about when you mentioned like AI agents that are helping you with your real estate? Like what are those built on and what do those do?
So the AI agents for due diligence and for real estate to buy it and to handle all of that is it's different. So we have custom GPTs I build up for me.
Hmm.
I build up through Zapier, more like the whole workflow to optimize things, especially for my
Mhm.
research then. To understand then, let's say my due diligence agent works together with Zapier, with Perplexity to understand, okay, where's the area? What was the last 5 years on like rented people? What is planned for the next 5 years in here, right? Are there going to be big buildings, shops, and so on, infrastructure? So that's the way how I do my research and have the workflow. Then again, for my portfolio ETFs, same thing. I have a lot of custom GPTs works only for me. Again, research and system prompted together with Claude and Perplexity. So it's just a mixture of all of them and then having
Yeah,
one to use it. Yeah.
I love that. And obviously, you're in this group that we're in, and it's an awesome group. So you're learning a lot here. But you mentioned there's like 100,000 AI tools coming out every, feels like second, every month. And for me, I put time on my calendar every day to go learn something. It's like something I really prioritize. How do you stay on top of what's out there as somebody who's training? Like, how do you make sure that you're on the cusp of knowing, the right AI tool to train on?
So it's not just only about, I think, the new tools that are coming out as well. Also, like the existing tools are getting way better, right? So how do you
Yeah.
also stay back on there? So if you would tell me, okay, wait, there was Bird on Google like 3.5 years back, and I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna use it. That's shit, right? And the latest launch of Gemini was like, it's amazing. It's so that's the thing, like again, what are my skills and where I can be productive? And that's the way
Right.
when I start to deep dive into it. It's like there's a new launch, people are talking about like, okay, I'm giving it a try. I don't
Yeah.
really try to block myself every day, half an hour, 1 hour, because I'm kind of like I get lost. And I lose track of time because I'm just into it and then suddenly 5 hours are gone.
Hmm.
Um, but I started to figure out, okay, which tool would be good for me to make more revenue. So this is what I do. So there was Notion. I used Notion already a year back, but now Notion has AI agentic into it and vibe coding in it. So now I just like talk to ChatGPT or talk to, okay, what do I need? And okay, build my CRM in Notion and use the agent to build up for me. I don't need to know anymore how to build up things, right? And that's the way
Yeah.
like they're also improving. And I just try to figure out, okay, which of the tools I'm using and when do I start actually using also new tools. So Lovable from January to December had an incredible evolution, basically. Like really, it was so good now that you use it as really as a website. And I really believe that in the next 6 months they get more and more better, that you can use it even productive, really good in the corporate world. Whereas again, Replit, I really tried it. I was like, okay, wait, it's not for me. But maybe I haven't figured out the right use case yet for me, right? So that's the
Yeah.
thing. What do you do? And then figure out which tool suits you. So you can't
Got
say
it.
like
Yeah.
you know which LLM you're using. It's like whenever people are telling me like which LLM are you using, I'll be like, it's the same thing when you have a partner. Um, you have different requirements when you're 18, right? Versus when you're 35. It's completely different. So depending on your requirement, I choose which tool I go to.
No, yeah, that's exactly right. It's like, what am I? It's less about the tool and more about what is the thing I have to do and what's the best tool for that. So, a lot of people in the comments are wondering, does Germany have non-compete clauses? How are you able to work in enterprise and upsell your private services? Because we would probably get in troubles here.
Same thing by us too. I'm not allowed, obviously, to use like I mean, you cannot use BMW's property, right?
Got
Like
it.
whatever I built, but I'm not selling BMW's use cases
Hmm.
because using IDP, the Intelligent Document Service, is built up by Microsoft, not by BMW. It's just that I don't reveal their use case, but whether I talk now in finance departments, in HR, in procurement, in supply chain, it really doesn't matter because the end-to-end workflow, it always works the same. You have somewhere the data comes in, you have somewhere the data goes out, and I just optimize the workflows, right? So that's
Got
what
it.
I do, and I don't get into competition with BMW.
It's more just like where you're meeting people, it sounds like. It's more like where you're meeting your ICP in a way.
Yeah,
So,
and on LinkedIn,
yeah, I
that's the
know.
best way. Yeah.
What else are you doing from a cold prospecting standpoint? Like you're doing the lunch and learns, I know, but like you have to get them to say, yes, you can come host a lunch and learn. Like, what do you do to get to that point? I know there's a lot of people in this room struggling with prospecting and sales. So, like, if you could talk us through that process, that would be great.
So what I figured out is that it's always, I don't know if you heard about the effectual principles. So
Tell
start,
us.
so one of it is partner with people. It's not, and that's the thing, like, I don't ask them, well, like, how can you help me? It was like, how can I help you? So how can we have
Hmm.
kind of joint forces? So I started to talk to coaches for C-levels, and I'll be like, okay, so what are the problems they have? Because they reach out to me, hey, Yana, do you need a coach? Right? And I'll be like, okay, what do you do? And I was like, okay, well, so what are the main problems your C-level customers have? And then she was like, yeah, they're feared of AI. And I said, hey, how about we join? Like, how about you do this and I do that? And you have a complete package suddenly, right? Or asking people like if I can be a speaker on events or offering my service to them. It's like, hey, look, you have a community. How about I talk
Hmm.
how I use finance into it because it made money for me. I had like 100K debt, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, that's nice. And do you want something? I said, no, I do it for free. Just because I love to talk about it anyways. And that's the way how I also got my first clients, basically. So that's the way how I reach out to people. I just offer them what I do for free. And same thing, write an article, reach out to a lot of magazines. Honestly, like all people, they keep sometimes writing articles. I'll be like, okay, you have no idea about it. And
Yeah.
just reach out to them, hey, that's my article, that's my idea. Like how you did it, right? With your form now. I just filled it out because I was like, my story is interesting. Maybe it would be interesting for many other people as well. And who knows,
Yeah.
except all the note takers, but the rest 66 people maybe are interested and like, hey, let me try out with real estate suddenly, right? Or investment in general.
Yeah.
Like I'm an angels investor in companies. So how do I research also in which company do I invest? So that's the same thing. I have an agent for this as well. So you can build up a whole hub around you. I think the
Yeah.
biggest fear is like not to try.
I agree. One time, during COVID, I hired a really expensive personal trainer, and she didn't help me get into shape at all. But she did tell me to stop being a wuss and get off the sidelines. And she kept being like, would you rather at the end of your life say like that was fun sitting in the crowd, or that was so fun playing the game? And that really hit home for me, and kind of similar to what you said of like, if you don't try, you'll never know. So I love that. Well, does anyone here have any other questions for Jana? Feel free to just take yourself off mute and speak up if you do. Comments?
And maybe one thing, like, I don't know if some people are still working. Oh, there's a question.
Yeah, I
Oh, yeah.
saw. There you are.
Yes, can I go? Okay. Thank you, JJ. I really loved your session. It was very helpful for me. Um, Now that you're speaking, it feels like um, a wheel that's just running and beautifully oiled and running really well. Can you run through your challenges in the beginning? What usually, how did you get started? What were a few challenges that you faced when you were absolutely surrounded by a cold audience? I know you spoke about BMW and your lunch and learns, but assuming you didn't have that, what would be your advice to start reaching out and to start off this? Would
Mhm.
you? Yeah.
For finance, for example, I started with B2B, right? So maybe a bit background. My husband is in sales, and that's his job, and he loves to cold outreach that. And I asked him for help. I was like, hey, you're the go-to-market guy. You make companies work out. How come they're not my one? And he gave me a lot of tips, and I'd be like, that's not me. Oh my God, that's like I feel so uncomfortable reaching out like coldly. Like, why would that dude talk to me, right? And honestly, that's like, I mean, Jam, you're in sales, you know how to do it for sure. Like for me, it was like, I'm not that person. And reaching out for finance to B2B was very hard. And I struggled. And I think you could feel it and you could sense that. So my other part would sense it. When I reached out to B2C, there was a completely different story again. Because then suddenly I felt confident. And I think it's very important. I know it is like you struggle and it's really not nice, but I think the more authentic you are in this, if you're passionate about it, people will understand that and they feel that. And when you talk to them, they're like, oh my God, Yana, you love that topic. I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna love it too. Let me give it a try, right? And same thing, and it was not that I always thought I'm not meant for B2B. I was meant for B2B, but for AI work. So my AI everyday workshop, that was B2B for me. There I could reach out to because I didn't want to give another course on AI that are there like enough. What was my niche? I understood the corporate pains. And then again, it was B2B, but then again, I was authentic because I knew it, right? So that's the thing. Whatever you do, again, use your skills, be productive in that one. What is your strengths? Is it empathy? Is it reaching out and so on? And then do it, be authentic, be yourself. And I think then it just comes. And then the first one, two are hard, but then it's just, I think I always feel like I'm better in calling people and talking to them and having then the audience. So that's why I always offer everything like for free the first sessions, right? Go on stage, go in there. It's for free. Okay, fine. But I talk and people keep remembering my name and they reach out on LinkedIn suddenly, right? So I hear a lot of like, oh, it's for free. You don't have any revenue. No, it's actually because I still train as well, right? I learn a lot. And we just talked about the last 5 months of my life doing so much incredibly. And it is possible. And there's enough space for everyone actually still. It's crazy. You just find if you're comfortable, I feel like people get to see that by you.
Thank
Great
you so
question.
much.
Kelly, go ahead.
Hi, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the hub that you created that you said, would reach out to editors or press to sort of get some buzz around you. And also, you know, speaking of sort of organic hits, when you want to be able to get yourself in front of, particularly in my case, B2B, but you don't really want to be at buy ad sales or seem too salesy, any tips on sort of doing that and having it still feel organic, but drawing those leads in would be great.
Mhm. So my hub by reaching out to people like let's say newspapers, speaker events, and so on is that it's like I use my network a lot. So whenever they have someone in their network, they're like, hey Jana, go on this stage. So that had really helped me. There's like whomever I had on LinkedIn on my personal contacts that I knew them by heart and they know me, I reached them, hey, so you know what? I made myself like as a freelancer, I work on this one. If you know someone who needs it, let me know. I would lovely to speak on it. Or let's go for a coffee, let's meet in person, and so on. And same thing for articles, magazines, newspaper. I just reached out to them, like whether it was the Times or whatever it was in here. I just started writing them and I was like, hey, how about can I write an article? Do you have anything in that specific field? Or who is the person I need to go to? Right? Is it something you want to talk about? And so on. So, and my research I did again is like, what was my branding, where I want to go. So, what was my target, right? And then did my research on, let's say, Perplexity. I'll be like, okay, what are the pain points on Reddit? What are the pain points on LinkedIn? On where people comment? And then, okay, where are those customers I want to reach? What are they reading? What are the channels they go
So
to?
instead of trying to get them to cover you as a feature story or your product as new innovation, you were offering to write a story for them about their customers' pain points that you could
Exactly, more
talk
pull
about.
instead of push.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's really good point. Thank you.
Was trying to find it. And I'll find it and post to the group, but there was like a PR news website where basically like you could submit your own story and it's where journalists and people who need to write articles for whatever their entity is will go and try to find stories. And so it helps you get picked up. I'll find that because I have it somewhere in one of my tabs and I'll post it. So great question. Does anyone else have any other questions for Jana? All right. Jana, could you share like a small habit that has really helped you generate more income? And it could be AI related or not. It could just be like a habit that you would share with us that might help us make more money.
Um, so one of this habit was what was one of the habit? I think the way how I maybe started was like I had a boss like when I was in my second maternity leave and I wanted to go back and she told me I wanted to start with 15 hours and she told me I'm not a charity, Anna. You can't come back like that.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, what did you just say? And I was a project manager running for UniCredit, and I was like, what? I worked my ass off, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna leave. And I was like, okay, why would I leave it? Everyone who wants to be a freelancer who's doing it on themselves, why do you want to do? Do you want to be financial free? You want to do you be your own, right? You want to you inspired of what you're doing again. And it became a habit. I was like, okay, how can I be a better version of myself? And it sounds like so, oh my God, it's the same sentence I heard maybe a lot of times is I have two daughters and they're raising up in an environment where women are still underestimated.
Yeah.
Um, I'm working in finance, I'm working in automotive and now in IT, right? And I'm completely underrepresented like there. I'm the only woman with a lot of guys over there. And I'm not saying we are the better version of it, right? It's just that we have other skills that we should embrace and use them to make money.
Yeah.
So if like I was never talking a lot and I was like, oh, I can't do a presentation. And my previous boss was saying like, Jana, you had the worst presentation. You're so bad in it. And I think like 6 weeks later, I was standing in front of like 600 people and presenting about AI. I mean, I didn't study it. I'm not a developer, right? I just talked about what I love to talk to in my way. And that's the way I think how you easily actually make money. If you do something that you really, really like to and you don't get tired of it.
Hmm.
But then break it down and make it a habit that you focus only maybe 2, 3 hours that brings you money in because you get lost. You can't have the perfect thing. Like
Yeah.
shoot it out, concentrate. Maybe sometimes 2 hours are better than 10. And I also had to learn it the hard way, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Well, thank you. That I love that. Your story was awesome. Thank you for being our very first interview. It was very brave of you. And I'm glad we did this with just you because, like I said, I was thinking of doing 2 interviews per session, and I don't think that would allow us to tell these stories like this. So we'll move on and do one per session. And I love this. Maybe we'll do more than once a month, but this was really fun and I appreciate you. And I just want to say too, reading through all the typeform responses that I got, people are making money with AI in a lot of really different ways. I know Jana and I both kind of do the same thing, but there's some really great stories about people developing apps, people using Fiverr and Etsy with AI. Like, there's some really cool stories. So I'll really make sure to bring in different perspectives and different types of AI careers as we move forward. And I'm super open to feedback. So if you have any ideas or hated this or love this, please let me know. You could send me a message on school. So, well, thank you all so much for being here, and we'll see you in the next one. So, have a great afternoon.
great. Thank you so much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. Bye.
See you. Bye.